Welcome to the Confident Motherhood Podcast. I'm your host, Anne, mama of two, holistic pregnancy and pediatric sleep consultant, and the founder of Empowered Decisions. In our seasons together, I'm here to help you step into your inner confidence from pregnancy to motherhood. Whether you are preparing to meet your baby or integrating into new mom life, this is a safe space with education and support for your journey. Join me as we raise the vibe of our motherhood collective. Welcome back to the Confident Motherhood Podcast. I'm Anne, your holistic pregnancy and infant and toddler sleep consultant. And for today's episode, I'm your mom bestie, and I'm going to put you up on game to my new mom morning routine. And I say this so dramatically, that is literally changing my life. This is a routine that is not only helping me just to have a regulated nervous system for my morning, but it's actually been setting me up to feel calmer and regulated throughout my day, which I was not anticipating. This is a routine that is allowing me to be so present with my kids. And interestingly enough, it does not include a morning workout. We can talk about that. I finally created a morning routine that is really filling my cup. You know, this idea that you need to pour into you first, like pour into me before I clock in for the day, which is not easy in mom life. Like moms, we know that is not an easy thing. We're always giving, always everybody else comes before us. But this pouring into yourself is shifting everything for me. Now, for years, my kids have been my alarm clock, which means when they wake up, not only am I up now, but I am immediately on duty. And if this is you too, like, you know what this means. We're essentially behind because whatever they need, whether it's just getting them ready or it's breakfast, whatever it is, they're coming first. And so we're kind of always then chasing our tail and like, okay, what do we need and getting ourselves ready? And it's a really hard place to start the morning. I used to work in corporate America. And then when my son he was less than two, I want to say he was around 17, 18 months. I walked away from that job to pursue sleep coaching full time because for the year prior, once he was around like 4 months to around that age, I was doing sleep coaching on nights and weekends. So I basically have been like a, work from home, stay at home mom for that amount of time, but he's been my alarm clock for a very long time. And I have 2 kids now. So I've always desired, like you see morning routines and they'll say every influential person and women and, of power and CEOs and, spiritual leaders, all these people, right, have these like incredible morning routines. And I've always desired to consistently start my day before my children and get that early uninterrupted time, but I've struggled to create it and actually implement it. And then of course, be able to commit to it. That has been my struggle for a very long time of like, how do I actually do that? Because the seasons of motherhood are constantly changing for us, as we know. So I am going to get to it in this episode. Like that's the whole point, where I'm going to share like the step-by-step routine. I'm going to list out all the items for you, all the habits and the rituals, and why each of the practices that I've included in my morning routine have been included. I always feel that the whys are really important when you're starting something, you're doing anything, you're committing to something, or at least if the why is important, at least if you want to keep doing it and make it a habit. So I'm going to walk you through all the points, but I want to kind of get into routines and why these things are important and how I got here, because I think that part of it is bigger than just like, oh, let's look at a tactical list of things. Now, I've worked with infants and toddlers and families for a long time. Like my eldest is going to be 8 this year, and I'm going on, over 7 years of coaching. I know how well children thrive with consistency and structure and routines, not only for their sleep, of course, but behavioral as well. And I wasn't like this younger and growing up, but I attribute my need for structure and routines to becoming a mom. That's part one for me. That really started to shift that like crave and that need, like I need the structure and routine, and my prior work life. And I think when those two things came together, and I was able to then kind of shift and start implementing those things into mom life, that started to allow everything to be easier for me. Everything is easier and it flows better when you do have that foundation of structure and routine. Now, some people hate the word structure and routine, but I just want to like invite you to just create like an open description, an open definition of what those words can be, because structure and routine can look very different for everybody. But I think when you create the structure and the routine that you resonate with and that works for you, then that is what the foundation that I'm talking about. It doesn't need to be any sort of like one size fits all. Now, when I was kind of, thinking about what I wanted to talk about in this episode, aside from just, of course, sharing my routine with you that I love, is I went to ChatGPT and I was like, can you tell me the power of creating a morning routine, kind of like from a by definition standpoint? And I was like, oh, spot on. Establishing a morning routine can significantly enhance various aspects of your life, including productivity, mental health, and overall well-being. By starting your day with a consistent set of activities, you set a positive tone that influences the rest of your day. Snap, snap, snaps. Yes, I was like, this is exact. I couldn't have said it better myself. Like, that is what I was craving. I'm like, this isn't just about starting my day. It's about the tone that you're setting for the day. And that's what I was like, that is going to be the shift that I need in my life. And early January, so we're in February now, but in early January, I was starting to feel way more stressed than normal, right? Like mom life is stressful, work can be stressful, like all the things. But I was feeling anxious. I was feeling like I didn't have any time for myself, just like AM to PM, running, working, momming. And that is a recipe for burnout. So I had enough like self-awareness to be like, Anne, this is not sustainable one bit. Like this is going to be heading into a bad place, like for yourself. You're going to go down, right? And I was feeling like something's got to give. But I think it's important for all of us to like check yourself on that shit. Like it's all about choices. So I started to ask myself, all right, what new choices can we make? Sometimes our lives are running in a certain way, not because it's efficient and sustainable, just because we've been doing that for a long time. So I was like, okay, I need to kind of like do an audit of my life, my mom life, my work life, and like what is working, what doesn't, and how can I start to make some changes? So that's where I started. That's what brought me that place. Like I was getting to that, nope, this is not going to work. And then I had to kind of dig a little bit deeper to figure out what I wanted it to look like. Now, if you are anything like me, waking super early is not your jam. It is not easy. It is not my jam. I've never really been a morning person. It takes me a bit to get moving. And I have dabbled in the waking up before my kids, idea and recommendation. And I have loved those days. But when I've done it before, it didn't really feel like it filled my cup. It just felt like I started my day earlier. And yes, I got more stuff done before they woke up. But that is not the same thing as filling your cup in the morning and pouring into yourself. And I think that's why in the past, even though I love those days that I was able to do it, but I wasn't able to commit and stick with it because I didn't really feel like it was giving me anything that I really needed. Then my next thought after that was, okay, if I want to wake up earlier, I need to go to bed earlier, which brings its challenges because like once the kids go to bed, I'm working, I'm cleaning. It's the only time I have for myself. So I was like, all right, I have a feeling that once I start shifting the morning, it may be painful for a few days or whatever. And then it will start naturally shifting my body to be ready to go to bed earlier. And that's exactly what happened. Like I didn't love it the first few days, but then once I was like ready to go to bed, not at, 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night, then I was able to be like, okay, I'm actually ready for bed. And then, once you do the math on how many hours you're going to be getting, my goal right now is to be getting no less than 8 hours, but ideally 8 to 9. So then I just kind of shift accordingly, but it did take me a few days to adjust into that. Okay, let's jump into the routine. Now, my normal rise time, again, waking when my kids wake, is somewhere between 7 and 8 a.m. So there's totally mornings where, the kids are sleeping and I'm still sleeping and then they wake up and let's start the day. But I would say generally not any earlier than 7 or my kid's going to wake up. So I was like, okay, to start, because that 6 a.m. time, I didn't love that number, but I was like, to start, I'm just going to start with 6:30. Right now, it's actually at 6:15 for me, but I don't think I could have started that initially. So I chose to start a 6:30 start time when I started implementing this routine. P.S. side note, I think this is important to share. I have the Hatch Restore, which I haven't had that long. I would say probably less than 6 months, but far earlier than I created this morning routine, which I love. So shout out to the Hatch, and my kids have the, kids versions of the Hatch. The Hatch essentially is a alarm clock and a sound machine, and, it helps with wind downs and routines. It's an incredible product, but you can set it to essentially it's like a soft glow, a light starts in the morning. So it's kind of starting to like naturally prepare you before your alarm alarm is going off. And don't give me I will wake up pissed if I have any sort of alarm like that. I need the most gentlest of softest sounds to wake me up because it's about a mood thing for me. So I do use the Hatch Restore, and I have it set like when the light comes on and when, of course, and now it's like 6:15 or it's time to wake me up. So sometimes I'll just, just kind of lay in bed for a few minutes. Some days I'm like really ready to pop up, depending on how many hours I got. Other days it may take me a few minutes, but essentially I just like sit up on the edge of my bed and I put my feet on the ground. And this is really just to get into my body, right? You're kind of like coming to, you're in that early morning, brainwave state. I just get into my body. I do a little like stretch, like, thank you for waking up. And I head immediately to the bathroom. And my first to-do list on this routine is my oral care. I have a whole like history with my dental history. And I really, within the past year, have like made a lot of adjustments for my oral care. So the first thing I do is just I immediately open up my drawer and I take out my tongue scraper and I scrape my tongue. Now, if you've never tongue scraped before, and you can build this routine however you want to build it, but our tongue is kind of like a communicator for us in a way. And also one of the ways it helps our bodies to detoxify. So you want to scrape that shit off your tongue in the morning. It's gross. It literally just takes a few seconds, but I tongue scrape and then I jump into oil pulling, which I love. I have dabbled in oil pulling for years, but just within this past year, I'm like, okay, this is like going to be a normal part of your morning. Like this is a habit. It is a routine. And now I really, really love it and look forward to it. So as soon as I tongue scrape, then I oil pull, and I've used a lot of different, I've gone from just grabbing coconut oil out of a jar to like specific brands. I use one called Guru Nanda now, which I really love. And they have a couple different, like a mint and a cinnamon. Anyways, so I just like squirt this in my mouth. And I start swishing. If you're just starting out though, maybe like 1 to 3 minutes, it's something that you have to build up and get used to. But while I'm oil pulling, I cannot just stand in front of the mirror for 10 to 15 minutes. I'd go crazy. So I just like tidy up the bathroom. If the boys had any like mess from bath time from the night before, I just tidy. I'll go into my room, make my bed, which is another like one of the items in the list is make your bed in this morning routine. It's like a sense of accomplishment. I'm sure you've heard this in many other morning routines, but I definitely love it. I like my room to be tidy in the morning before I'm starting my day. And I do all of this while I'm oil pulling. So whether I'm like, oh, I'll grab some laundry, whatever it is, 10 to 15 minutes max. Some people will go up to 20 minutes. 10 to 15 is pretty much like my deal. I don't really like to do it longer than that. Spit that in the trash. It can knock it down the sink. Spit it in the trash. And then I brush my teeth and wash my face. So we're talking just another 1 to 2 minutes there. Then I change my clothes, which literally for me is just getting out of pajamas and probably putting on like leggings and a sweatshirt or a shirt or something. And it's less about like, oh, I just went from something comfortable to something comfortable, but it's the change. Like I need that change mentally for me. That's what's necessary to like change my clothes. Now, here's the big deal. This is the heavy hitter of the routine. So I basically like tidied and I've, done my oral care. Now I'm going to open up my lymphatic system. And man, I'm 40 now. I'm like, man, I really wish I was doing this in my 20s and my 30s because I feel like it really would have helped my health overall. Our lymphatic system is a lazy system. You got to help it out. So essentially the main areas of where you open up your lymph would be like essentially kind of like under your ears, basically like where your back of your jaw, like they opened up your mouth a few times and you feel your jaw hinge. So basically like right below your earlobe, essentially like where your jaw meets right there. That's one of the areas for your lymph. And then it goes to your collarbone. So above and below your collarbone. And I recommend Googling and, getting a visual of where these things are. But your collarbone, after the collarbone, then you go armpits, then belly, then groin, and then behind your knees. And this literally takes me like 2 minutes, maybe. It's pretty fast. So after you go through those areas and you're opening up for your lymph, then I hydrate. And I just have a little container in my bathroom of sea salt. And I just grab a couple of crystals, like I open it up, put it on my tongue, and I just drink a ton of water, but at least like a glass. I don't think I'm chugging 2 cups of water, but definitely a glass of water. And this is replenishing your electrolytes. This is hydrating you. And this is really good for like your metabolism in the morning, your digestion, your gut health. So many benefits there. So after I've opened up my lymph, I've drank water. Now I'm doing somatic bouncing and shaking, like basically somatic practices. And this is another one that's been newer for me in understanding the importance of somatic practices and exercises. And this is supportive to our lymphatic system that we just opened up, but it is getting the stagnant energy I'm going to say it, fucking moving in the body. And it's like, you don't realize how much we're just on autopilot when we wake up and we're just, okay, on to the next task. And you almost feel a little bit silly when you're doing it initially. And I'll tell you exactly like what that looks like. But somatic exercise can also help to lower your cortisol, which we know, mom life, like high stress, right? Lower your cortisol, regulate your nervous system, and release stored trauma. There is trapped and stored trauma in our body that we need to move and release. It's not uncommon when people start doing somatic practices that you will cry. Like you're just like, doing some sort of exercise and like all of a sudden you have this big release. That is the releasing of that stored trauma in the body, which is really powerful. And it feels so good. Like when I say you might feel silly doing it, it's almost like a little kid, like bouncing and shaking your body. So literally, I just want you to stand, like if you're standing in front of a mirror in your closet, whatever, and you're going to kind of soften your knees and you're going to bounce and just let your arms hang. You can open up your mouth, like let your jaw be loose. And I'll just count to 100 a couple times, which obviously goes by really quick. And then I just wiggle and I shake. Like it feels very, I want to say like animalistic in a way where you're just letting your body like guide you and move. So like wiggle, girl, shake that ass. Like just get that body moving. And I do like, I have tons of health things in my house and I have a vibration plate and I also have a rebounder and I love those things. But in the morning, I actually don't use them. I literally just stand up and bounce and do somatic practices. And there's obviously tons of creators that have content and videos and different things that you can do. I started there. I actually have a somatic workbook and I've taken a course before in somatic healing. And so I had some things that I knew that I wanted to kind of build into that routine, but I encourage you to do some research and kind of look at like, what do you want to put into that somatic practice? But I just freaking love that part of the routine. And of course, after like opening up your lymph and you've hydrated, now you're moving your body. Okay. Then this next part, also another one of my faves, because we're going to end with some like positivity and like for our mental health. I grab my phone, but no checking. That's the rule. I should have said this in the beginning. When you wake up, you're also not grabbing your phone. Like your phone is coming last. And I'm sure you probably also heard that with morning routines. Do not wake and start the day with grabbing your phone. You're immediately heading into the place that you're not wanting to go. So I do grab my phone, but I go straight to YouTube. And initially I was like, oh, just kind of, test out some morning meditations and see which one I like best. Well, it turns out the first one I ever grabbed, I'm obsessed with. So I'm not in a place yet. I've done this routine for well over a month now, but I wanted to give you what her name was in case you wanted to go look it up. So I recommend doing a 10 to 15 minute morning meditation. And the channel that I found, her name is Jenny Hertz, Jenny, and then her last name Hirtz. But her channel is called Yoga with Jenny Hertz. And I do her I am morning affirmations to raise your vibration and trust. And that tagline is what caught me initially. I think I just typed in morning affirmations. It is 14 minutes and 40 seconds long, right? So it's like, we're talking just at the tail end of this routine. And you can do this literally just sitting, like if you wanted to get into a meditative position or if you wanted to lay down. I actually have chosen to do it so that I can keep this total routine in like 45 minutes or less from the time I'm getting up out of bed to the time I'm completely done. I do it while stretching. So essentially, like my eyes are closed. I just like set my phone away so I can listen to her. And I'm doing kind of like, there's totally some stretches in there that I'm doing that are very yoga-esque, whether it's child's pose or downward dog. But really, I'm just stretching, whether it's like, you're about to go work out or you just came from a workout. I'm stretching my legs. I'm stretching my like sides and my obliques and my back and my arms and just everything. And that feels really good to like say these really powerful affirmations while also moving my body, which I feel like is just like cherry on top at the end of this routine. Now, once that video is complete and I'm done with my stretching, I just kind of sit there and just like give thanks for this time that I've just poured into myself. And then I allow myself to be like, okay, now I can get on the computer. And I've been leaving my computer in my room versus like at my desk. So I don't have to like, potentially go out and potentially wake up my kids. And I just get on my computer. And then I'm looking, okay, what do I have for the day? What are my tasks? I'll check my emails. If I want to journal about something, I'll journal. I'll kind of revisit my goals. This is quiet time at my computer. And I love it because it's intentional. It is without the pressure of, okay, I got the call that's coming up, or okay, I got to hop on this. I got to do this, send this email, create this sleep plan. Oh, then I got to go make breakfast. Like it is without the rat race attached to it. So I really get to just be present with my computer. And I didn't realize when I created this routine that this part, this morning check of the calendar and whatnot was actually creating a lot of stress for me in the morning. And you'll know this, like if you're, I think mom life is all work, but if you're a stay-at-home working mom or you're out of home work mom, like you have a to-do list that's running in your mind constantly, that mental load that is outside of course, the things that you're doing with and for your children. And I didn't realize that when I'm in my morning and we're getting ready and we're brushing teeth and we're doing breakfast and all of these things, in the back of my mind, I was still thinking, I got to check that email. I want about that client. I got to do this. I got this call today. Have I prepped for this? Exhausting. So when I pour into myself and then I get to sit at my computer, I'm not stressed about it. Then when my kids wake up, I'm like, okay, that is already checked off the list. I already know what I have coming up for the day. And man, that was helping me to feel so much calmer. So this morning routine, it's got my body right. It's got my mind right. I am hydrated. I have a plan for the day. I'm not waking up wondering about all these to-dos. I am ahead. I'm not chasing my tail anymore. And then I'm also ready when it is proper time for work. I'm ready to dive in and support my families, or I'm ready to work on whatever it is that I'm creating. I'm ready to record a podcast episode. I'm ready, and I'm finding myself being more present in that intentional time for creating or work than I am when I'm just kind of like going through the motions of my day. So like I mentioned, it's been a month of this new routine. So I feel like at this point it's proven, right? Like this isn't like, I just started this yesterday and I love it. I feel calm. And while mom life we know is no joke, and come bedtime, your girl is ready for bedtime, not going to lie, but I don't find myself wanting to stay up extra late, that, like sleep sabotage that a lot of us do, just to have time for myself, because I already created this space and time and I love it. Like I look forward to going to bed knowing that I have this time in the morning. It does not feel like a chore for me, like, I have to wake up at this time, which I used to do on those days. I would try to get ahead of my kids. And on that note, I know somebody's going to say or think like, when I wake up early, my kids sense it. They can smell me and like they're up too. And I hear you, because of course I've had those moments in the past and I have felt that way in the past. So your wake up specific time, it's going to need to be adjusted as needed or for your life or when your kids wake up. And of course, like I can't just completely ignore the fact that I'm a sleep coach. Like both of my kids have been solid sleepers, weren't born that way, but solid sleepers for a long, long time. So I know that I can depend on that time. But there was a recent Sunday where I just let myself wake naturally. And there's been like two scenarios I've been letting that happen, whether it's like a Sunday, not really much going on, or like if I'm on my period, right, where you just like have those few days like you're extra tired, I'll give myself the grace to like just go with the extra rest that your body needs. But in a recent Sunday, I let myself wake up naturally. And then like my kids were up like shortly after. So I think I had gotten through like oil pulling and they were waking up. And I was like, you know what? It's going to look a little bit different this morning, but I'm not going to be in the energetic space of like, there goes my morning routine and blah, blah. I just did the routine, but they were awake, right? So that brings about their noise and their playing and all these things. But even though it looked different on that day, it was not perfectly quiet. I did it and I still felt great. So that's where I think in mom life, we have to redefine what commitment and consistency looks like, because oftentimes it does not look like what it did before we had these beautiful little children in our lives. So give yourself the grace for that. And as I was putting this episode together, I really just wanted like one mom or more than one mom to be like, wait, I've also kind of wanted to have a morning routine or have this time where I pour into myself. And it started to come, obviously it came from that place of like, I'm so stressed and all these things, but like, I want to be the best version of myself. And when I'm the best version of myself, I'm the best mom for my children. It allows me to thrive in mom life, work life, like all the hats that we wear. This is fully customizable. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't, explore what you're curious about. It's interchangeable. Find what works for you, because I've come across a lot of morning routines. Like I said, I've wanted this for a long time. And I'm like, no, not waking up at 5 a.m. and going to the gym. Like that's not going to work for me. That's not like conducive to like what my life is in the season of having young children. So put intention behind this. I'm going to leave you with this. You have the power to create the life that you desire. Who is she, mama? What does she want? What type of daily routines does she do? How does she show up for herself? Because before I created this routine and then edited it, right, kind of figured out what was working, I asked myself these questions, like, for the life that I want, what does that version of Anne do? And without question, she has a badass morning routine. She pours into herself. She's present with her kids. She's a boss at work, all those things. So I really encourage you to go there in the mind, the body, the spirit. You'll get the answers that are perfect for you. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I love this topic today. And until the next episode, lots of love. Whether you're a tired mom struggling with your little one's sleep or an expecting mom looking for empowerment and advocacy as you prepare for birth, I'm here to show up for you with proven strategies and education to elevate your journey. You deserve to feel heard and given the tools to have success. Mama, you do not have to navigate your pregnancy or sleep struggles alone. Head over to empoweredwithann.com to discover how we can support you. Confidence, empowerment, and peace are just a click away.